Nicki Minaj has been saying the exact same thing for years.
I couldn't pay a bunch of people to say they liked me and do all this shit.
And there's really one main target. Cardi B. Nicki and Cardi have been beefing for quite some time, and a video on this beef is something you guys have been asking me to cover for a very long time. Just so you know, I've already done all the research, 58 pages worth. All I need to do now is put it into a script, and from there I'll give you a very in-depth video on this beef. If you're new here, definitely subscribe because that video is coming, and I guarantee I won't miss.
Cardi B's OnlyFans. It says, welcome to my world. It's $4.99 per month.
$4.99. That was a Twitter post that Nicki Minaj made just a few days ago on September 29th, and it was a shot at Cardi B's new album in reference to some questionable marketing tactics around it.
Was for people to get these QR codes right here to save $5 off my store.
It's no secret that labels and their artists have been bending the rules, exploiting the system, or downright breaking the law in an attempt to make more sales. And if you thought this was Nicki's first time alluding to Cardi B's tactics, you would be wrong. In August of 2018, Nicki was gearing up to drop her new album, Queen, and in an interview with Funk Flex, she alluded to how certain people are paying for song plays with radio.
And since I know so many things that are going on behind the scenes, what other people don't know, I know that there's a lot of people getting paid to voice those kinds of opinions.
And the thing is, Funk Flex backed her up on it.
Well, I'm going to support you on what you're saying,
right?
Because there is, in the music and entertainment business, there is a lot of not pay for play, pay for opinions.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure people already know that paying a DJ or a broadcast company to play your music is indeed illegal. However, at this point, it's become pretty much common knowledge that this is how radio works and how it's pretty much always worked. And Nicki has been calling things out like this for a while. If we fast forward to today, 7 years after that Nicki interview, shit has really been hitting the fan in the industry. When it comes to payola, Drake's lawsuit against UMG made those exact allegations, and there are even rumors floating around about a full-on RICO case aimed at the radio industry.
I've been telling y'all that a RICO case was coming with radio.
Right.
It's gonna be a long day for some of you guys. I got a glance at some of that paperwork. There's some crazy fucking names in there. This is legitimately a RICO money laundering situation between the three major labels and the biggest radio conglomerate in the world.
So it even goes beyond payola because apparently they're laundering money. But I mean, that's a testament to perhaps how shady things can get. Anyways, in that Funk Flex interview, Nicki didn't mention any names, but just the very next day, Funk Flex decided to do just that. In an Instagram post, Flex said the following: "Let's be clear, Cardi's team and many other artists pay DJs to play records and say that they're hot. I have emails I've gotten from labels over the years with names and figures." And to this, Cardi fired back.
You can't buy that shit. You can't buy people showing you generous love. You just can't buy that. You can't buy people's love. And that's one thing that I have. I have people that love me.
Keep in mind, Nicki at this point did not say Cardi's name. However, just 2 weeks later, everything exploded with what's now one of the most viral moments in female hip-hop history, the infamous Fashion Week shoe throwing bonanza. Now Nicki takes the gloves off. Just 2 days after the incident, Nicki jumped on Queen Radio for a 2.5-hour episode where she unleashed on Cardi B and aired everything out. And now when it comes to payola, she makes it clear that Cardi is one of the people that's been doing it.
Because she has built her career off of sympathy and payola.
For context, one of the companies at the center of a federal investigation right now is iHeartMedia, which owns The Breakfast Club. Now in 2017, for whatever reason, Charlemagne the God was very influential in pushing Cardi B. He spoke favorably about her every chance that he could get, and he even ran a Get Cardi B to #1 for the Culture campaign. I'm not sure why he went to such great lengths to get Bodak Yellow to #1, but I'm sure Nicki looked at things like this as being pretty odd. I'm not saying he took money or anything, but I agree that it is strange. To make things even stranger, Charlemagne posted a photo holding an RIAA Platinum Bodak Yellow plaque, which was clearly presented to him as it had his name on it. And sometimes when a record hits a big milestone like this, the label or artist will gift plaques to the stations that help break the record. It doesn't mean that Charlemagne was paid, but it's definitely Atlantic's way of saying, thank you, you were a big part of this record's success. And other people in the industry start to notice this and they call it out. Once again, Rory Farrell spoke out, and this was back when he was still on the Joe Budden podcast, calling out Atlantic Records, Cardi's label, insinuating that they were cutting checks to the Breakfast Club for promo.
You need to talk to Ian, because Atlantic is giving the money up for this promotion. You needed to get on that payroll.
They are, right?
Come on. She hosted Jimmy Fallon.
Word. Yeah, I'm not even mad at that, but Charlemagne's got to give it up. Charlemagne has got to admit that he works for Atlantic, man.
Why? What he did?
Charlemagne gets a lot of corporate checks, man. He just, Charlemagne sent like the fully automatic of Cardi Instagram posts. That was like 8 of them before 8 a.m. I said, oh, come on, bro. And I knew something was funny because him and Envy magically posted at the same time. Like, oh yeah, the check clear.
Even at that point, Rory was already in the industry for several years, and then Joe Budden is Joe Budden, so these guys know what's going on. After Nicki posted the Queen Radio episode, Cardi will respond with some data from her album sales with the words, "Numbers don't fucking lie." I really don't think she understood at the time that in this industry, numbers absolutely lie, because, I mean, we're at the point now where we don't even know what to believe anymore. It's that bad. Anyway, several weeks would pass where even more drama ensued, and this time Cardi B had enough, and she took to Instagram to give her side of the story. And this is where she denies the payola stuff.
So why is it that when people want to listen to me, you cannot believe it, that I gotta be cheating for that? My new single came out called Money, right? And yeah, it's doing so good on Apple. It's actually #1 on the top charts, all genres on Apple. And that's the same shit that you got your Queen Radio on. So how can I possibly use payola on some shit that endorses you? Man, is you shitting me?
And with all this, I got to be honest, Cardi B isn't making much sense as she responds to Nicki's payola allegations by flexing her Apple Music numbers. However, this didn't address the accusation at all. Apple is a streaming platform, while Nicki was specifically talking about radio pay-for-play, and obviously these are two completely different things. Cardi's pretty new at this point to the industry, right? So even if the label is paying radio, I don't think she probably doesn't know anything about it. At this point, the beef between them is solidified. It's not an industry gimmick. These two women genuinely do not like each other, and the subliminal shots and Twitter wars have gone on for years. One of Nicki's main criticisms for Cardi is that she doesn't write her own music, which in hip-hop is also considered cheating, but for this video, I'll be keeping the focus strictly on the accusations about sales. We're gonna get to that in the big video. We'll cover it all. Fresh off her payola claims, Nicki didn't hold back on exposing industry antics. Around that exact same time, her criticism of Travis Scott's Astroworld bundles became one of the key sparks that pushed Billboard to change its rules.
When you were #2 behind Travis Scott, it seemed you got upset about that.
It's just that when you have a #2 album to someone who's selling shirts and merch and selling passes for a tour that's not even announced yet, it feels like you're being tricked. It feels like, you know, someone is playing a game and like beating you at a game as opposed to just selling music. I want to sell music.
Right.
I mean, I think it's common sense that the industry probably doesn't like a superstar of Nicki Minaj's magnitude being so outspoken about things like this. They don't like it. In 2022, as part of many subliminals aimed at Cardi B, on Super Freaky Girl, Nicki mentioned how Cardi plays media games for Sympathy.
I ain't gotta beg for sympathy from the media.
And that ties into the Sympathy payola thing that Nicki was talking about years before.
Because she has built her career off of sympathy and payola.
So for Cardi's debut album, Invasion of Privacy, Nicki was quick to throw out claims of payola, and now 7 years later, Cardi finally returns with the follow-up album, Am I the Drama? And for this album, we're hearing a lot of similar claims. First off, the rollout for this album was already unusual, as Cardi loaded it with 2 huge hits from years earlier, Up and WAP.
Right in this little garage, make it cream, make me scream.
And because those tracks already racked up a combined 2 billion streams on Spotify alone, the album went platinum the very day it dropped, which is completely ridiculous, but I can't blame Cardi because it's allowed, and that's the problem. The album debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 albums chart, and before we get into discussing Nicki's claims, I will say that Cardi did seem to do a lot of boots on the ground work to contribute to the album's success. Cardi announced an album release date back in June, and from there her team really hit the ground running. She dropped the single for Outside, she did some big interviews, some short form content, she started doing pop-up events, meet and greets, she teamed up with DoorDash to allow fans to buy the album through their app. She released several different covers for the project, along with an extensive amount of bundle options on her website. There's no doubt that Cardi worked very hard on this rollout. With all that said, in a now deleted tweet, Nicki simply posted the number $4.99, which was a direct shot at Cardi B's reduced album price on iTunes.
You could go on iTunes right now. You could get my album for $4.99 for a whole entire week. I love you guys and thank you for all the support. I really appreciate it.
She did it within the first 24 hours, and I think what they're doing is they're really on the hunt for pure sales on iTunes, because if they reduce the price, they're going to get more pure sales, which helps on Billboard. So really what the label's doing is they're trading profit for chart position, because chart position, like a #1, helps with profit. If you have an artist locked into a 360 deal, which is precisely what Cardi B's contract is, a #1 spot on Billboard does a lot of amazing things. With that, Cardi B's show money goes up, which is something they get a cut of. With that comes bigger brand deals for Cardi, something else they get a cut of. All of a sudden, Cardi's older music is now performing, which is more profit for the label again. Being #1 kind of goes without saying, right? Like, it gives them a chance to say, look, this artist that we have is extremely hot. She's literally the best right now. Look, when it's time for Warner Music Group to pump out their performance report to show to their investors, you can best believe they're highlighting that one of their artists went #1. This is the music business, right? Like, a #1 position on Billboard has like a ripple effect. A #1 album also acts as a gateway into Grammys and other award campaigns, which increases the label's prestige even more. Yeah, we had 28 artists nominated last year at the Grammys, 12 of our artists won, we had 13 Billboard #1s. Then we got senior executives at the very top of the totem pole who get bonus incentives based on performance. So a #1 album isn't just a status symbol for Cardi, but it's a status symbol for her label. And when you see them slash prices like that in hopes of getting a #1, that's a calculated choice. So Nicki makes that post and an all-out Twitter war ensues. And one of the things that Nicki said was that Cardi was falling off the charts. And I'm not gonna lie, Nicki predicted this would happen ahead of time, as it's reported that Cardi's second week sales would put her at #3 on Billboard, dropping 2 spots. Then, of course, we got the botting allegations around the album. Cardi has faced accusations of using bots for a while now, and this is something that Spotify has recently started cracking down on. Back in March, she dropped a track with Partisan Fontaine called Toot It Up, and Spotify ended up removing nearly half its streams. Cardi B has worked closely with 300 Entertainment, where she's worked alongside Raina Bass for years. What made this interesting for me is that Raina has worked extensively with Gunna and Young Thug, and as many of you know, jail calls recently leaked where Thug admitted to purchasing bots for Gunna's album.
We just got a plug on that. You never earned the #1 album. 50 extra grand buying motherfucking streams. $50,000 buying streams for you.
And all this is allegedly tied to one man. A huge person of interest in Drake's lawsuit against UMG is a man by the name of Kojo, who allegedly facilitated the bots for Kendrick Lamar. Kojo is the same guy that did the bots for Gunna and Thug. That's what Academics meant by this tweet. Now remember, Academics said that Kendrick Lamar used the exact same PR company as Cardi B, and that's where it all links. And there's more that I could say about this, but the info that I've got is like it can't be substantiated, so I don't feel comfortable putting it in a video. But like the connection around these bots, this is a developing story that I'm following. A few days ago on the Agree to Disagree podcast, which is a spaces that we host on my new What's the Dirt community on Twitter, I predicted that Cardi B's album would likely see its streaming numbers reduced by Spotify as part of their crackdown on bots.
No, there's a lot of eyes on this in particular right now. So if she's really botting the way people think she is, I'm expecting that we'll see that reflect when they remove streams.
And now there's been some reports coming out where people are claiming that this is happening. A media outlet on Twitter reported that Cardi B pulled 4.3 million streams on October 1st, but 13 tracks were in the negative, which could be an indication that they are cleaning out bots. Even when I looked at her music video for Safe with Kalani, it took me less than a minute to notice that the video is rampant with botted comments. These are very basic comments such as amazing, nice, wow, nice song, this song is very nice. Then when you click on the accounts, you'll see that every time they were all created on the exact same day that the comment was made. So because they bot the views on the video, they've got to bot the comments or else it will look skewed. Look, a lot of people have negative things to say about Nicki Minaj, and I don't agree with everything that she does, but when it comes to Cardi B's numbers, I don't believe for 1 second that it's organic. Not saying some of her music isn't good, I'm just reporting on what I see and what my opinions are, and I think Nicki's been onto something when it comes to this. Like I said, this is just a quick video, but subscribe because the big video is coming, and that's really where I'm gonna get all my shit off.